Penguin Random House Audio presents The Cliffs, a novel by Courtney Sullivan. Read for you by Cassandra Campbell with Brittany Pressley, Kimberly Farr, Emily Lawrence, and Tanis Parenteau. For Donna Loring, with gratitude and admiration, and in memory of Deanne Torbert Dunning. Prologue. The house, long abandoned, had stories to tell. The house was a contradiction, clearly well-loved at one time, but left to rot. Jane first saw it from the water. She was 17, narrating a sunset cocktail cruise aboard Abe Adams's lobster boat. 3 months earlier, on a Friday in late April, she got called to the principal's office for the first time in her life. Heart-pounding, she walked the empty halls. Her shoes echoed against the linoleum no matter how softly she stepped, mortifying her. Jane was in the habit, then, of taking up as little space as possible. Her cheeks grew hot as she tried to imagine what she had done wrong. The receptionist, plump and frizzy-haired under fluorescent lights, was grinning from behind her desk when Jane entered the room. She gestured toward the open office door with enthusiasm, and Jane wondered if she took some sadistic pleasure in hearing teenagers receive their comeuppance through the flimsy wall. Across from the principal sat Jane's English and social studies teachers. All 3 of them were grinning, too. They had summoned her, they said, with excellent news. Jane was one of 25 honors students in the state of Maine, selected to be part of a summer program at Bates College. Very prestigious, they said. An incredible opportunity. It would set her apart on her applications next year. She would get to take a seminar for college credit, immersing herself in a topic of her choosing at a level not possible in even her most rigorous AP classes. That day or the next, they said, her mother would receive a letter with more details. But they couldn't wait to tell Jane in person. Jane's first thought was that she wished she could tell her grandmother. Instead, she went home and waited for her mother to bring it up. 5 days passed without a word on the subject. Jane sifted through the already opened mail on the kitchen counter when she got home from school each afternoon, but found no trace of the letter. She had visions of her mother hiding it, burning it, throwing it away. When Jane couldn't wait any longer, she asked her mother flat out if she had gotten the letter. "Yeah," her mother said, all casual. "I don't know, Jane. It sounds expensive. It sounds like a scam." Jane explained that the program was free. The books and everything, even transportation. "Nothing's ever really free," her mother said. "They're using you." "For what?" Jane said, indignant. "You'd still have to have a summer job," her mother said. "You can't skip out on that." "When have I ever skipped out on anything?" Jane said. Under her breath, she added, "I cannot wait to get out of this house." "Where do you want to go?" her mother said. "Grab me a pen. I'll draw you a map." Jane went to the room she shared with her older sister and slammed the door. Holly was in there, reading a magazine in bed. She didn't look up. Jane's best friend, Allison, baked her congratulatory brownies and bought her a set of her favorite rollerball pens at CVS. Allison's friendship was proof that much of life came down to luck. She would have had no reason to speak to Jane had they not been assigned a shared locker freshman year. The year Jane's grandmother died and Jane moved with her mother and sister into her grandmother's house in Awadaquid. Before that, they had been living in a rented apartment in Worcester, Massachusetts, with her mother's ex-boyfriend. An awkward arrangement. They had broken up months earlier, but neither one wanted to move out. Jane and Holly had to tiptoe around him on the sofa, where he seemed to be 24 hours a day. Their mother was relieved to escape that situation, but even so, she seemed to resent the house. A gift she couldn't refuse that nevertheless held her hostage in her hometown when she had meant to be gone for good. Jane didn't know what possessed Allison to draw her out, to ask her so many questions, to invite her over. Everyone at school had known one another since birth, it seemed, and everyone wanted to be Allison's best friend. But for some reason, she chose Jane, the nerd, the new girl, the one who read novels at the bus stop before school because she liked reading novels, but also because she hoped it might disguise the fact of how alone she was. Allison's parents ran an inn. They sat on every local council and committee. They called Tuesday night bingo at the fire station and volunteered at pancake breakfasts in the school gym in winter. Her dad coached baseball and hockey. They were busy. But they always acted happy to see Jane. They asked her about herself, especially Allison's mom, Betty, who seemed proud of Jane in a way her own mother was not. In the 3 years they had known one another, Jane had eaten more dinners at Allison's house than she had at her own. They never spent time at Jane's house, an unspoken understanding for which Jane was deeply grateful. Jane's mother always claimed to be overwhelmed, though by what, Jane had no idea. She seemed unable to deal with the details of life that other adults just handled. Whenever anyone asked what her mother did for work, Jane lied. She would say her mom was a bookkeeper, which she had been once, years ago, a time before memory. She still talked about that job sometimes, as if she might be headed back any day. Her actual job, if you could call it that, was going to yard sales and reselling what she bought later for slightly more than she had paid. She shopped on Saturdays and Sundays. On Mondays, she brought her finds to various local consignment stores and individuals and tried to make a profit. The rest of her hours at home were spent talking on the cordless phone to whichever guy she happened to be dating, while drinking a beer and circling addresses and times for upcoming yard sales in the newspaper, or else sifting through junk at the kitchen table. All the worst stuff, the stuff she couldn't sell, remained in their kitchen and living room, cluttering every available bit of space. The countertops were crowded with bowls full of old campaign buttons, clip-on earrings, baseball cards, batteries, and power cords that didn't correspond to any known device. On the front lawn, blue plastic tarps covered 3-legged coffee tables and bicycles with no chains, and God only knew what else. Allison rode the bus to Bates with her the first day, because Jane was so nervous. After that, every weekday in July, she made the 90-minute trip alone to the stately campus, all red brick buildings and leafy green trees. Jane read the whole way there and back, pride radiating from within so intensely that she sometimes worried strangers could sense it on her like a smell. The seminar she chose was called Early Women Writers. The professor, a 60-ish woman with bobbed hair, wrote on the board during the first class meeting, "Most lives will be lost to time." She spoke the names of women from as far back as the 16th century who wrote down their life stories when no one thought it appropriate for women to write at all. By doing so, they endured. Jane's brain lit up at the idea. She devoured the poems of Lucy Cavendish and the detailed diaries of Anne Clifford. On the Wednesday night of her 4th week of class, there was a massive thunderstorm. Jane loved thunder and lightning. She was under the blankets in her bed, reading until midnight, listening to the rain. Happy. Twice, the power went out, but popped back on a moment later. On her way to the bus stop the next morning, she saw several fallen tree limbs, evidence of the weather. But the sky was a blazing blue, like the storm had never happened. She got to Bates early that day. As she approached the classroom, Jane overheard the professor talking to someone. "This one girl, Jane, She's smarter and more curious than most of my sophomores and juniors.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?